This is All the Right Marketing, a publishing podcast by Cardinal Rule Press. Now, here's your host, Maria Dismondy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us at All the Right Marketing podcast, where we interview publishers and writers and librarians and booksellers as well. And what we really want to find out in this podcast is, how do people get visibility around the books that they want to share with readers? Today's guest, ladies and gentlemen, is a very lovely lady named Helen H. She is a children's book author, illustrator, and publisher. She's the author of Tofu Takes Time and Long Goes to Dragon School, and the publisher of Yeehoo Press. Being fascinated by the differences and similarities between cultures, Helen loves to share stories that empower children to understand the world and our connections. Learn more at Helen at helenhwu.com and Yeehoo Press, yeehoopress.com. We will have all of those links in our show notes. Welcome, Helen, to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Maria, for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here and join your podcast and share more about Yeehoo Press and our unique publishing path. Again, I'm Helen H. I'm a children's book author and illustrator and a translator, and I work as a publisher at Yeehoo Press, an independent children's book publishing house based in San Diego, California. And Yeehoo Press publishes picture books in English in the US and in simplified Chinese in mainland China.
Wonderful. And you know what I really like about what you're doing is it's very similar to the publishing company that I run, which is Cardinal Rule Press. So we want to empower children with these windows and mirrors into, a window being able to see another culture and what it looks like, or a mirror being able to see themselves in picture books. And it sounds like you are dedicated to a similar mission at Yeehoo Press. So let's start from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
When you decided, I want to do something with my life, was it always illustration and writing, or was there something you did before that?
Yeah, that's something totally different. I came from economics background, and I was born and raised in China. And when I was little, we didn't have those colorful picture books. We only have the black and white comic books. So I didn't really know children's books until I was in college. So and after I got to graduate school in the US, and it was economics master degree, and I got into marketing. And that's how I get into to self-taught myself Photoshop to do some graphic design and marketing materials. And I discovered that people use Photoshop to do drawing. I always loved drawing when I was little, just never thought it would be a career. So I started to do digital drawing and put up a portfolio online. And to my surprise, someone came to me to ask me to illustrate their children's books. So that's the first time I realized, illustrating children's book could be a career. Think about that. I just got started as a totally amateur. And someone came to me, to pay me to do their illustrations. So I gradually started to do more. And since most of those projects are self-published from self-published authors and self-published projects, and I got involved in every step of publishing, from illustration to graphic design to the layout or typography and cover design, and even like a printing file check or stuff. So I got this idea, maybe I could write my own story as well. So the good.
What was that first story, Helen?
In 2014, I wrote and illustrated my first story. So I got into illustration in 2012. So it's 10 years ago. So the good part about self-publishing is that there is no one out there to judge you. If you want to do it, you go out do it. So I started to write, illustrate, and publish my own books. And after I have like 10 books I wrote and illustrated under my belt, I realized I couldn't go any further. I want more than just a book out there. I want my book to hit shelves in libraries and to be in bookstores and be carried by some large retailers and to win some awards. And I started to figure out, why my book couldn't even get into this, or how to get into, get our books into more people. And I realized, oh, the path I was taking was called self-publishing, and you should really take the path called traditional publishing. So this like two different paths. So I start to take courses and join different critic groups, and I also went to a lot of conferences to build this network and connections. And I signed with agents and start to submit to various publishing houses. And in 2019, I went to a CBWI LA conference, and I met Yihu team, and they are looking for someone to take over their US branch. They are a Chinese publishing company, and they publish a lot of different titles in China. They publish over 200 titles per year in China.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really a big publishing company in China. So they publish picture books, English magazines, social like adult novels, and and also textbooks. So they cover a quite wide range of genres they are publishing. But they want to, they want to open their US branch, and they want to find someone who could speak Mandarin and English and has experience in US publishing and connections with US authors.
It sounds like you might have been the perfect fit.
Yeah, my background and experience, perfectly fit their criteria. So I joined the team and helped, build this publishing house since then. So it's really a long journey. I got lucky to work with this fascinating team, and they are really amazing. Like they work with authors around the world, and they choose illustrators. When they acquire stories, we will consider how the manuscript fits both market, and they will also choose like what kind of art style fit the particular story to really bring another layer to the book and to truly bring the story to life. So they did a great job in making quality picture books. So here we are.
Wow, that's really great. Oh my goodness. I just love how your path change. Like every couple of years you try something different, something new. And my question is, how do you think your economics degree was helpful in any way in your journey?
Yeah, I think it's very helpful because especially when you are running a business, you need to do a lot of data and see the sales data and to do some business analysis and to make some big decisions. So you need to think from the marketing side of the business, or how to make a graphic more attractive. All these things, I think it's very helpful. Especially after I graduated from the graduate school with an economic background, when I did the graphic design. I think my experience with the graphic design also helps me a lot making those attractive marketing materials, which are eventually helpful to promote the book and author. So yeah,
absolutely. And now how often does the company Yihu Press open its email box to submissions? Is it all year round, or do they have a certain period? Here in the US.
Yeah, it's all year round. We accept agented and both agented and unagented submissions. So we have open submission policies.
And how many titles do you typically take on in the US branch per year?
Around 10 to 15 books per year. This is our second year, so we are relatively very young press. So last year is our first year. We published 7 books, and this year we published 14. So we aim to publish around 12 to 15 books next year.
Okay. And looking at the website, it's very unique because not only are you publishing books, but you're also developing merchandise around those books. Is that happening here at the US branch as well?
Yes, that's something we are doing for US market and also Chinese market, because the merchandise you can literally sell anywhere all around the world. And one of the reasons why we decide to develop merchandise first, I've absolutely love children's books, and the reason I'm passionate about picture book publishing, that picture books have the potential to pass on the joy from generation to generation, and the picture books are one of the channels that children can learn about the world when they snuggle on the laps of parents and grandparents. However, picture books are usually for young audience, aged like 4 to 8. So it's a very narrow age group and a very competitive market. And instead, merchandise has a much broader audience. And for example, recently we are developing plushies for one of our upcoming books, Long Goes the Dragon School, written by me, illustrated by May Bisam. We are developing dragon plushie toys, which you can see here.
They're so cute.
Yeah. So for plushies, they are not only for children, but they are also like teens, adults will enjoy plushies as well. And they serve as perfect gifts. And the children can bring these huggable toys on fun play dates with friends and families, and feel inspired by the heartwarming message of discovering your talents and self-love, which based on the book. So, and besides plushies, we are also developing pins, stickers, animated GIF emojis and stickers to use on social media. And so yeah, for this book, I hope this Chinese dragon character can fly beyond book and to be companions of more children, teens, adults in everyday life. And we are also developing craft kits, like coloring bookmarks, giant coloring posters.
Wow.
For classmates. So these merchandise provide various vehicles for children, parents, educators to use in everyday life. So I think, merchandise bring the book and its characters to a broader audience and market, and the book gives them the merchandise meaningful message and makes them unique. So we aim to create dynamic and multidimensional learning experience for our readers and customers, and make our books and stories and characters more memorable for a broader audience, and ultimately bring success to our fabulous authors and illustrators. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That, this is something very unique to talk about on the podcast. We haven't spoken to a company that is, combining merchandise and picture books in the market. And it makes a lot of sense as to why you would do so. What would you say, Helen, would be the number one strategy Yoo-Hoo Press uses to market their books? It sounds like you do a combination of things, but what would you say would be the most successful strategy?
Most successful, I would say social media. Reach out to a broader, that's I think a very effective way to reach out to readers and to reviewers, to industry professionals. So it's kind of like it's your brand, because people check your website, check out your social media. That's their first impression. But of course, we do a lot. Like we send books to editorial reviewers. We will do ads on Amazon, on magazines. We send books to awards and to a lot of book lists. Those are things like you couldn't really see, but those are also very important. But eventually everyone, when they receive a book, they want to check about you. So your website or social media presence are kind of like their first impression. But of course, there are many other things you need to do.
So as a publisher, do you encourage your authors to be on social media, and do you provide images for them to share on social media? Because as we both know, authors aren't always excited about marketing, and authors don't always want to self-promote. So how does your work as a publisher help those authors?
Yeah, that's really a great question. I think for social media, I think authors could think it's always helpful for promotion because, every time you share, even if it's just among your friends and families, it helps the book to get to be seen. But it's not like it's something you necessarily have to do to bring the book to be successful, because publishers have their own social media as well. They will do, all this marketing on their end. And Yeah, as I mentioned, like we will need to send books to editorial reviewers, to those different retailers, and to awards and magazines. So those things are really out of author's control. So so it's great. Social media is something great to do and great to have, but just don't feel overwhelmed that you have to do it. And especially that there were just so many different social media channels like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok,
I know, I saw you were on TikTok. I love your TikTok videos.
Oh, thank you. So, I mean, these different channels, they have very different formats. Some are static images and some are like videos or short videos, like YouTube's the longer videos. So if the author is interested in do any of those, they can choose one or just some that they feel comfortable to do.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not possible for anyone to be present on every channel.
No.
So yeah, so just don't feel overwhelmed that you have to do everything. It's something nice to have and nice to build author career. Because I think especially nowadays, if you want to be a successful author, like social media will help you a lot as a author brand to just to let your readers know about you and know about your author career and what kind of book you want to write, what kind of message you want your readers to know. So yeah, it's eventually very helpful for author as for their author career, but not like necessarily if you want this book to be successful, you have to do a lot of have to. Yeah, that's something. So yeah.
Wow. And you are a wealth of information, and I appreciate you answering all of these questions. I have one last question for you today, and it's just out of curiosity myself. Is there a process, because you're a company who publishes in multiple languages, is there a process as far as you publish in simplified Chinese first and then English, or is there a process on which language comes first, or no?
Yeah, it's really a great question. We actually acquired these books in consideration of two markets at the same time, and the books are published simultaneously. Sometimes maybe like 2 or 3 months apart because for the printing or shipping stuff, but usually it's simultaneously. And so the English edition, the Chinese edition usually are done like simultaneously.
Very cool.
Yeah. So when we like actually in China, there were it's a different market and the ways. There were a lot of differences between two markets and the ways to promote the book and the way to sell the book. There was some difference there. Like for example, in the U.S., the books are usually sold and promoted individually, while in mainland China, books are it's very common to put books by different authors and illustrators in a set or a collection to sell them to sell and promote together. For example, they put books in some common theme like emotions or STEAM or nonfiction about a certain topic. But these books are by different authors and illustrators, and a set of books could be from 3 to 10 books. So when we acquire our books, we need to think about the Chinese market and which 3 books could make a set. So yeah, and we have 2 teams of editors, one team of 5 editors in China and a team of 3 editors in US. So the editors in the US will evaluate the markets, how it fits the US market and the audience here, and editors in China will evaluate how the manuscript fits Chinese market. And if the manuscript fit both market, we will acquire it, and we find or sign the author up and find illustrators for it, and editorial review and illustration. So
wow, you must love your job. This sounds like a really fun process, and being able to work with such a big team here in the US, and you get the opportunity to communicate with the team in China as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I really appreciate this opportunity to work with this very amazing team in China and in US, and to learn a lot of to learn about this industry. And there were so many just knowledge and experience and the journey behind books. We always want to make great books and make books successful, and there are just so many things behind the scene that not quite known to people. And and I really appreciate this opportunity. And I came from an author background, and I wrote and illustrated my own book, so it's really helpful to have this inside experience, and I'm very eager to share this experience with more authors and a Kidly community.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we thank you for coming on the show today, Helen. You were a wealth of knowledge, and you can tell if just by looking at you, you love the work that you do, and it fills you with joy. So those of you listening, please know that we come out with an episode every Tuesday on all the right marketing. And we look forward to hearing from you next week. Thank you, Helen.
If this episode resonated with you, let's take it a step further. Head over to cardinalrulepress.com and check out our blog. It is filled with resources for anyone who loves books, whether you are a publisher, a librarian, a bookseller, or an author. We help you to figure out ways to get visibility around those books. Thanks for listening to All the Right Marketing with Maria Dismondy. If there is a topic you would like us to explore and cover, please email podcast@cardinalrulepress.com. Head over to our website, cardinalrulepress.com, to sign up for our monthly newsletter where you can learn more tips on getting books visible into the market. Last but not least, follow us on Instagram for a daily dose of all things books. If you enjoyed this episode, rate and review or share with a friend or colleague. Thanks so much.